Welcome. This is Lotus, living off the usual. We bringing you part two of open discussion with the Get Loose movement. We got the pleasure of having with us today DJ Mr. Rip-U, DJ CP Lew The Deuce from part one, and also we have some more members coming in to give their contributions today, and we have the pleasure of seeing Mr. Mel-Z. Mr. Mel-Z, we heard a lot about the Get Loose movement. I want to get your chance to give a little bit of insight of what's going on. So tell me a little bit about you and how this movement of y'all started.
Well, it all started in high school, very simple in high school. Always knew Haas, Rip-U, always knew him. Rip-U knew that I could rock. So he introduced me to a brother named Ali. Ali then he told me, he said, well, you kind of nice. You nice on the mic. But he's like, you got a DJ? And I said, yeah, I got a DJ. He was like, what you think? And I said, you know what? That ain't working. That ain't working at all. So he said, I got somebody for you. I want you to meet somebody. Ali and Rip-U introduced me to CP. I met with CP. He picked me up from high school, went to his house. He was probably one of the first DJs that I saw with 1200s, because at that time I was dealing with individuals who was rocking on Geminis and stuff like that. So CP had the real deal stuff. Went up there, he put on a joint called It's Time and just started cutting and going crazy. So once I saw that, I was like, yeah. I was like, all right. I was like, this is an individual I can work with. This is an individual that, if he puts some stuff together, I can definitely represent. So that's actually how I started with Lou, with Haas, with Ali. That was my start right there.
Yes. Yes. Love it. Beautiful.
And one of my questions in your early start, what was some of your influences and what got you into the love of music?
Oh, that's easy. Rakim, straight up. Rakim, Blastmaster KRS-One.
Yes, sir.
But I'm gonna say something. Even before them, Rakim, KRS-One, and Kane, those
Mhm.
those were my influences. But there's somebody that caught my attention even before them, and it was just straight up two people. But I'm gonna say one, and CP, you probably know this, was Shan.
Yeah, for sure.
Shan caught my attention because even though Shan had individuals didn't probably like or adjust to his vocals, meaning his sound. Shan was at that time, Shan was ill, and I just like his delivery. I like his everything. I like Shan. So Shan really is the individual, and even before him was Tila Rock. So if you had to say somebody, it was Shan. Shan really is the one that captured my interest in hip hop. Um,
Shout out to all the greats.
Yeah.
yeah. I'm talking in terms of not my interest in hip hop in terms of Shan got me into hip hop, because you had all the other individuals prior to him, like everybody, Tila Rock, all the individuals prior to him. But Shan is the individual that I really really paid attention to. After Shan, of course, then you had the KRS and the Rakims and also LL, all of them. But I'm going to tell you, if you want me to answer your question properly, who got me started writing, who got me started putting the pen to the paper straight up, was EPMD, and that's real talk. Was
Yes, sir.
EPMD.
Yes, sir. One quick thing. I want to pass that question also to DJ Mr. Rip-U and DJ Lew The Deuce to elaborate on what influenced y'all to also rap and go into music. Each individual, I don't know which one gonna go first.
Real
Deuce?
quick,
So yeah.
before we jump
It's the
into
floor,
that,
see?
before we go into that, so I put something in the chat, and I think it's important. Mel, look at it. So when Mel talked about he had a DJ before me and him met, I just want you real quick to talk about that DJ and the tapes you made, because remember, you played them tapes for me when you was rocking. You had a lot of material. Let's talk about that a little bit, because when I heard that, I was like, yo, this is the guy I need to be with. So let's talk about the tapes y'all made, because yo, the tapes was fire, yo. So go ahead, yo.
Well, the DJ that I had,
Mhm.
you know, him and I, you know, we were friends, we were neighbors, and he had absolutely no DJ skills. He knew that I had he knew I could rock. He knew I had rhyme skills, but he had no DJ skills. So, we went and we bought some equipment. I helped him buy that equipment. Um, and then I taught him, I'm not a DJ. So, but what I did was I taught him the fundamentals that I knew. And he became, not good, but he became okay. So at that time, we created, some songs, we created some material, and that material was all designed by me in terms of the beats, the titles of the songs, the lyrics, the rhymes, everything was designed by me. But I thought he was a real DJ until I met CP. And when I met CP, I said, wow, it wasn't a knock on him, because he did the best he could at that moment. And I'm going to give him credit, because he actually did he actually became not a DJ, but he got the fundamentals of being a DJ. And but when I met CP, I just saw a totally different individual, the way it should be. And when I saw that, I said, wow, I got to go ahead and get with this brother, because his sound, his everything about him, it this individual did not have. And like I said, once again, it's no knock on him, but I saw a real DJ in Lew. And that's what, I was glad that Rip and Ali introduced me to him.
And the reason I wanted him to bring that up, because a lot of the whatever material him, I think it was Nick, right? Was that his name?
Correct.
A lot of the lyrics he did on those tapes, he took some of those lyrics and we made songs with.
Correct.
And I just thought that was very profound. You know what I mean? Because
Correct.
go ahead.
My question for
Exactly.
you, CP, because I love this part. So when he was influenced to get with you by how you showed them the DJing skills, can you tell me not just the dope rhymes, but what got you interested in his lyrical ability, like from the merger and the meeting, because y'all both seen it, y'all complimented each other?
So, and that's why I had him tell that story. What got me interested in the lyrical ability was those tapes. He played for me the tapes him and Nick did. I remember specifically he did one song, I think it was called "Coming Off," and he
Yeah.
did the
Yeah.
lyrics to it. And we actually made it. Now it was never released. We never did a demo for it, but it was a song we did at my house. He took the same lyrics that was on that tape. I made a beat to it, and it was hot. So when I heard the lyrics on that tape, that's what yo, this got to be my MC. This guy is nice. And I wish we still had them tapes. I mean, every song he did,
Wow.
me and Mel had probably a whole album of songs. A lot of those lyrics were from that tape that he did with Nick. They were. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I wanted to mention that. But yeah, it was pretty much that tape. That's why I wanted to mention that got me interested in his lyrics. I was like, yo, this guy's, I haven't heard an MC like this. I had an MC, I mentioned it on the last time, from Summit, named Pac. He was good. But when I heard Mel on them tapes with Nick, I was like, this is the dude right here. So, and it was a perfect marriage, yo. You know what I'm saying? So that's
Yep.
why I wanted him to mention.
That's real talk. That's real talk.
Sure.
Now, CP, also you wanted, hold on. Also, CP, you wanted to make some corrections on the
But before we do
time.
that, you asked a question of Ripp-U and me about how we got started. So let's do that. I want to get us.
You want to do that first? Okay, let's do
go
that.
ahead. Go ahead, Ripp-U. You go ahead and talk about how you got started, and
You know, I mean, I don't know how to say it and how to put it. I basically, just recandidating, just basically just collecting music. There was this we called the mall in Vauxhall, New Jersey, called Union Market, and it was a heavy record shop where a lot of celebrities would stop by, and so I would. It was like clockwork. Every Friday after school, I would have to make my way and beat everybody to some vinyl. That and turned into, like I said, not having the equipment, and DJing on my mother's equipment and breaking a needle and her telling me I have to replace it, but not taking it. Her knowing me and knowing my talents, she just wanted what was best for me. So her in her head, she was like, play the records, but I gotta let him know that I'm being stern. From then, I just like in and out, just like started DJing gigs, like slowly but surely, the neighbors. But I didn't own equipment, so I don't know how I would conjure up to be able to get somebody else's equipment. I do remember a good brother, Bobby Simpson. He actually let me hold his equipment for months, and I studied on it. It wasn't Technique 400. I think it was some Pioneers, but as a DJ, you adapt to what you have. So that is for that point as far as me getting started into DJing. Then I connected with CP, still collecting, and that is this pinnacle point of the structure, the DJ part.
The rapping. What got you rapping, my brother?
Huh? That's a good question. Um, Well, I think I was always a writer. Like, I think I was writing like at 12, 13, but I wasn't advanced as Mel-Z. I wasn't advanced as some of the writers that you would known to hear emceeing. So it took a lot of practice. I think actually the real thing that I actually wrote, and it was kind of inspired by tragedy. What track is that? Um, Intelligent Hoodlum.
Are you talking about the intelligent hoodlum?
Intelligent Hoodlum was the
Oh,
first thing I actually wrote, and that was for We Get Naked. For the 40/50 Get Loose record, We Get Naked. That was the real, I could say, because I've wrote, but not to that extent of influence.
Right. So what you're saying is
do you feel everybody that was with you made you step up your game writing? Because when you're in a collective and it's like everybody sharpens each other's swords.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And the thing is, that story is so funny because when we recorded We Get Naked, I was just, I couldn't get it together. It was a long process for me to even rehearse it because I didn't study. I think I've read it like 2 nights before, and I think um, it became such a long night. Everybody was done with their verses. I'm the last one, and it took me so long. I don't know how many takes, and I think
Right.
Ra is a member from 40/50 Get Loose. He just like, look, it can't be a group. He can't even get his verse right, bro. Nah, that's it. Let's go home.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
think
You know what? That's true. That's
yeah,
true.
and once he said that, I went in there and just like and killed it.
So it was the push. So it was the push by your
Yeah,
brothers.
yeah.
Solid,
Also,
solid. Now you CP?
Yeah, so before I go into how I got started, I got to mention one more thing because the thing is, when Mel brought up his old DJ, this brings back memories of stuff. So I got to mention this.
Let's go.
Just real quick, and then I'll go in there. So, and Mel, he knows this. So the reason that we connected real well when I was really on his lyrics, probably to this day, and he would probably agree to this. The tapes of him rhyming was so dope. I probably remember his lyrics more than he does. He used to always tell me that. Remember that? I mean, to this day, because that's how
when you know you got a good
I
producer.
remember him more than him.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
that's
So I just
true.
had to mention that real quick. That's how dope the lyrics were. But okay, so my start basically, like I was saying before, I did tell you I did start DJing in like 85. But what happened in 84, I had a cousin from Boston who came to live with me in Summit. And you know, he started messing around with these old record player my mom had, right? And you know, he was listening to a lot of the inspiration actually came from 98.7 Kiss. It was Red Alert, Chuck Chill Out, Latin Rascals rotating every week, and then you had Mr. Magic on BLS.
Yes, sir.
So he used to listen to them, and then I started listening to him, and then he would take this old record player and start scratching. So eventually he left and went back to Boston, and I just continued on. I was like, I want to do what he wants to do. So I just started. I bought her like a stereo, and I had my mom's old record player, no mixer. And I was just trying to do what he did, and I was listening to those mixes every week. And then eventually I got me some equipment, got a mixer, got turntables, and that's pretty much how I got started. So he was a big influence on that. And then listening to Red, Chuck, and Latin Rascals on 98 and 84. 84 is when I was listening to him. And then by 85, I got into the DJing and started making tapes. So that's pretty much how I got my start. Go ahead.
Do you feel the practice and the time that you spent? Because it sounds like how when you have NBA players and they're getting ready for the finals and they're sitting there and they're reviewing their competitors and they're going over everything because you're going for exact scratches and mixes without having a mixer. Was that hard? With like how many needles did you go through in just a practice trial just to get that technique, mastered? Because there was no shortcuts. You had to know what you was doing.
I mean, in 84, I mean, it was just, remember, so I had my mom's record player and I bought the stereo, no mixer.
Okay.
I'm basically going off what he was doing. He was like scratching on the record. That's all he was doing. At that time, he only had that record player. He was just scratching on it. So I was just like, oh man, that's dope. And then I would be listening to the mixes. So then after he left, obviously, I must have saw it on TV where I saw two turntables. So I was like, let me get a stereo. So I got a stereo, and all I did was just play a record and just try to scratch to it. I mean, it was terrible. It was my early stages. But I kept continuing to listen. See, the thing is with a producer and a DJ, you listen to music and then you understand it. So I kept continuing listening to Chuck, Red, Latin Rascals, and Latin Rascals was ill, yo. And then eventually I said, okay, I need to get me some real equipment so I can learn how to do this. And I just continued to listen to them, tried to do what they did, and eventually I was able to do it myself. And that's how this like you said, practice, listening to other DJs, and then boom, eventually, I was able to make a name for myself as far as making tapes and people knowing that I was a DJ locally.
Can you tell me any errors or things that you learned and went through in the beginning stages of learning within your practice that some people may actually learn something from when they're going into the field themselves?
So back then, the biggest thing that I learned, and I didn't know, so part of DJing was you blended music, right? You mixed. So one of the things I didn't know when I was trying to learn how to mix two records is that you're not supposed to, and I'm sure you heard this, you're not supposed to mix words with words. And that's what I used to do. So you have you have one song with lyrics and then you mix other lyrics with it. That's a no-no in DJing. If you're mixing two songs, you have lyrics and you have an instrumental. That's how you mix two records together. So I had to learn not to do that because I was making tapes like that at first. And it was like, yo, I mean, it was on, but you don't mix words with words. So I didn't know that. So I was self-taught. I didn't have a mentor to show me how to DJ. So somebody had to tell me, yo, Lew, you ain't supposed to mix words with words. So that's one of the things I had to learn about DJing is when you blend, you don't blend words with words. You blend words with an instrument. That's just one thing I remember.
Did you have any mentors at that point that was giving you a guideline? So everything was just a trial and error.
Okay, so I was self-taught, and I did have a cousin in North Carolina who used to DJ. Mm-hmm. I just really watched him. He wasn't really a mentor because he didn't take me under his wing and show me. Okay. He actually made a record before we even made records, The Mass Confusion. He made a record down south, but I used to just watch him and listen to his tapes. He was really good. He was actually better than me. But I really had a person who took me under their wing to show me DJing. I was self-taught.
Okay. So before we continue, I'm gonna let you go into the things you wanted to get into from the last interview? A few things we wanted to go into.
Yeah, let's do that real quick. So so one correction was we were talking about we got into mass confusion. We talked about writers and publishing, right? So I did mention that when you when you sign up to get paid royalties, you have a writer and you have a publisher. Writers get 50%. The writer is the one who writes the lyrics or the producer, and then the publisher gets 50%. So one thing I mentioned, I said something about like, oh, well, the record company can do 90-10. No. When it comes to royalties, that's like record play, or if the song is used for a commercial or, radio play, that's strictly royalties. Whatever's on the contract the record company has for record sales, that's different. But when it comes to publishing, it's always 50-50, 50 writers, 50 publishers. I want to correct that because I said 70, 30, 90-10, that, somebody can get 90 of publishing. That's wrong. It's always 50-50 when it comes to royalties. And record sales and shows, that's totally different. But when it comes to royalties, it's always 50-50. That's one thing. And then second, it was when we were talking about my start, right? I didn't mention all the things about my cousin in Boston and then listening to the DJs. I didn't even need to go over that. I talked about something else, so I did that already. So we're good. Those are the two things. Oh, I'm sorry. And then also too, I'm not sure if I mentioned this. I wrote this down. I think I had the years wrong when I started producing, and me and Mel hooked up. I started producing music in 88 and 89. That's when me and Mel got together. So that's all my correct. Yeah.
Okay. So one of my questions was, when y'all first started the Get Loose movement, who thought of the name, and how did y'all organize? Like, how many of y'all was there within the unit, and how did y'all organize working on the production, or what was everybody's task within the unit?
So that's a Haas question.
Rip, go ahead and answer that question.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, go to the first question, because you asked 3 questions. Go to the first one. You remember what you asked? Well, you hear me?
You talking to me?
Yeah.
Okay. The first question I asked was, can you tell me a little bit about when y'all started, who created the name of the Get Loose movement, a little bit of the task everybody went, and what was the first agenda of the first productions you put out under the title Get Loose movement? Could you tell me a little bit about that?
I don't want to throw you off. I think, I think our initial point, once we recorded the several different singles that we pre-recorded stuff in CP's house. I think that's when we kind of had an idea that we were going to form a group, but it didn't actually form a group until we get naked in the studio. And I came up with the name 40-50 Get Loose. So 40-50, what it represents to me, I mean, it had to make sense to me. So we drank 40-ounce brew. We drunk them by the cat, so I used that to kind of like to say, well, how could we twist this? And somehow, rather than another, I came up with 50, meaning the 50 states that would link. And like I said, I think that name was made during the same night we recorded We Get Naked. Now, what was the third question? Because you threw so many questions at me.
Oh, what was everybody's task within and when y'all first got together, what the first project y'all was working on was a single, was an album, and what was the lineup, and how did y'all structure that?
Well, here's the thing. The first single was We Get Naked.
Okay.
And the way it was structured is just I can't forget. Was it
Who produced it?
Barry. Well, it was actually produced by CP, Lew, and I kind of like co-produced. It was a learning process. So I mean, like, I think when you talk about the lineup, I think we just basically line up basically who we would think. I think this is around the symphony night time, somewhere around the sympathy. Can't even pronounce it right. Symphony time with the Juice Crew. And I think we didn't want to, it was inspired us. The song inspired us. So we basically had a lineup of hard hitters, and just basically, the flow and element of the hip hop scene at that time. I think what was important to us to keep that structure whole. And so I think the way that we did that lineup, was just Rob first. Am I right?
But We Get Naked, Ali was first.
Ali was first.
Ali was first. I was second. Rob was third. You were fourth.
Thank you for the correction. Thank you.
But real quick,
So I mean, like, the way that was structured is just, hard MCs. I think the reason why I came last because I don't think I was getting taken as serious as an MC. So I mean, like, it's like I said, it was a learning experience. So I mean, it's good quality behind that. So I think that's how we end up structuring that whole Get Loose. We just wanted to have some heavy MCs. I think when I look back and reflect back then, my mind was so concentrated on production. I just wanted to be involved in any way that I could be. So if I had to step my A game up, I had to step my A game up. You know what I'm saying?
CP?
Yes, I wanted to add to that. So what I have in my notes from the timeline, if I remember correctly, so around 89, and I'm gonna let Mel jump in too to talk about Rob. About 89, and this is before we recorded Get Naked. Me and Mel had his mom had I think she had hooked us up with this guy who was looking for this group. I think his name was Deshaun, right? I think this was 89. And so what happened, we were me, Haas, and Mel, we all met already. We were doing stuff at my house, but his mom met this guy named Deshaun. He was a manager looking for a group. And so me and Mel decided we were going to be this group called Ace and Deuce. And at that time in 89, we were getting with him to make this demo, right? This was outside of the 40, before 4050 got together. And then, so we were doing that, but at the same time, probably around 90, 91, and I talked about this in the last podcast. We got with LB Tread had a cousin named Barry, and Barry had a brother named Larry. They had a studio in Union, and so the crew actually went there to record songs. Haas, Rip-U had a song, Ali had his song, and then me and Mel had songs, and eventually Mel brought Raw in, and he had a song. So it was kind of all together. It was like 89, 90, 91. We got the Ace and Deuce trying to do their thing, and then we all as a group get in that studio with Larry and try to do individual songs, and then we did a posse song or a collaboration. So that's how I remember.
Facts.
And then Mel brought in Raw. So I want him to talk about how he brought in Raw into the group as well. So because it all kind of flowed that way from what I remember. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm just trying to. That's how I got in my notes.
No. See, you are on point with that. Yeah. Word up. You on point. That's real talk. Those are facts. How I met Ra was me and Ra was working for a company in East Orange. Actually, it was St. Michael's Hospital, and we was working as security, and I didn't know him, he didn't know me, and he was my relief. And when he came to the booth, I was rocking Lord Finesse. What's the song? Not strictly for the ladies. What was the first song?
About the first song, You Nasty Baby, that one. The first one?
Yeah. You Nasty. I was rocking that, and he came to relieve me, and he heard it, and he was like, "Oh, you rocking that?" He was like, "That's my joint." And I got his number. He got my number, and that's what started it. And him and I became really, really good friends, from that point. So at that time, that's when we was doing our thing at CP's house. I mean, CP, we was already Ace and Deuce. We've been in the studio, we recorded some songs, but then we started to form 4050. So when we started to form 4050, I told him, I said, listen, I said, you know, I started rocking some stuff. And then he said to me, he said, well, you know, I rock too. You know, I write rhymes too. You know, he spit, I spit. We like both materials from each other. And then, you know, that's simple. I introduced him to 4050 and he's part of the crew.
But that album, I want to say something. I was looking for it.
Yeah. That's a Lord Finesse album. 99, I think it came out in 90, right?
You the funky man. Funky
Yeah.
man. That's what it's called.
So one thing, if you don't have another question, I want to add to what Mel said. So one thing too that solidified Ra in the group, as far as everybody else embracing him, because you know only Mel had heard him, is that Brian Berry, who was LB Trey's brother, had, and I think the radio show was either Essex County College or Union County College. Which one was it?
It was Union. I think it was Union.
Okay, so he asked us to come on there and for the MCs to rock, right? So Mel bought Ra there. They all came on, and everybody ripped it, but Ra, I just feel, y'all correct me wrong, he just stood out. I mean, because it was the first time me and Haas and everybody and Ali we heard. I don't even know if Ali was there, but he like really stood out. And we was like, yo, after he rocked on that radio station like that, we was like, yo, he's in. So that was one of the events that solidified, yo, he's part of this.
Absolutely. And remember too, him and I did that. You know, Irvington had a club called Club Cayenne.
Yo, that's what I'm saying. I be forgetting stuff. Yes, right.
And him and I, we rocked that funky joint.
Yeah. So one of the songs me and Mel did called Introduction was one of our first songs. Now I remember it's coming back to me. Him and Rob performed at this club. I don't know how they got in there, who hooked it up, but they performed, I think, over the remix of Introduction. It was a remix beat. Mm-hmm. And I remember what Mel told me when they rocked. He said they was sweating the song.
It was bananas. It was.
We had a video. We had a V8. I wish we had it. We had a videotape of it. I wish somebody had it to this day. And they ripped it. You know what I'm saying?
You know what? Yeah. It's very simple. We can convert that from.
Do you have it? You got the VHS?
We could convert that from tape to.
You have it?
Digital.
Yeah, I got it.
Digital.
Yo, man, we put that on digital. Yo, Lotus.
I got that. I got it.
And I remember what the main thing that Mel told me about that particular thing was like, yo, he said, "Sid, it was on us, yo." He said they would killed it.
It was crazy. It was crazy. It was crazy.
That's why we need him on. And say, I forget about all this stuff. That was a moment for the crew, for them to rock at a club and get that notoriety.
So that was the first club y'all rocked as a group?
Yeah.
Well, no, this was just him and Ra.
That was the first club me and Ra did, and that was actually 91 or 92. I think it was 91.
And that might have been right before we went into Larry's and recorded as like for the right, exactly.
That was right before right before We Get Naked.
Yeah. So that led to us going to record Larry's house. Correct. Larry, who was LB Trey's brother, and we all went in. Everybody had their individual songs, plus we did We Get Naked, which was the collaboration. So and the radio station event happened like right before that too. Where Ra was introduced.
How was it your first time on stage, Mel? Describe that. We gotta hear that. How was that first time on stage? Was you nervous? Did you already wait, hold on. Did you know what you was gonna say and do, or was it off the top? How was it the first performing feeling for you, and what kept you wanting that stage?
Mel, mention this. How did they introduce you guys? You remember when that tape? They introduced you as 4050, not Mel and Ra. If you listen to that tape, he said
no. Yeah. Because actually, you know what? So maybe the recollection could be a little off, because maybe we could have been, maybe we introduced Ra to 4050 prior to that.
That's possible. I
That's
just want
right.
to
They introduced us as 40-50.
Yeah, I remember that on the tape.
Mm.
And you know, it wasn't off the top. Everything was written, everything was produced, but no, there was no nervousness. I just went out there and just ripped it.
But so you already was prepared.
Notice that tape, man.
So basically, you was prepared when you went out there. You already had like
Absolutely.
that set,
No,
right?
they were supposed to perform. It was a performance.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Absolutely. It was.
Yeah,
It was. I had zero nervousness. Zero. I knew what I wanted to do.
One more question I have. Do you feel like it made you sharper for your preparations more than going in? Because you know, when a lot of people go up for opportunities, they may miss certain things when they don't do no homework. So doing your homework make you more confident in your ability?
Absolutely. I mean, we didn't do many shows. I think the last show me and Rip, the last show we did had to be what was it, Sapphire in Manhattan?
It could have been.
Yeah,
I think we was at a couple of spots, but I think if I'm not right, if my recognition don't throw me off,
It was
it sounds
Sapphire.
about accurate. It sounds about
it was in the 90s, like what Mel was saying, that we didn't do show really in the 90s.
No.
Cable, yeah. But
Not at all. So you know, yeah, exactly. We didn't do any shows. I think the shows that me and Rip did was like what, 09, 10, 11,
2010,
stuff like that. So
let me add something. I think when you talk about, I think we always been performing, but when you're talking about the group 40-50 Get Loose, I don't think we have ever established
no,
to have everybody on the same stage,
no.
just as well as this podcast. You know, it's always a block, so we are never come together. I think that's what people would like to see because it's different personality.
And let me just say something on that note. That's probably where I'm not going to say I don't know how to say this correctly, but that's probably where we didn't get our just, because as a group, you know, all of us was just nice. I feel we was all nice. I always thought like we could be another flavor unit.
Yeah.
Me personally. Now this is my opinion. I always thought that we could be another flavor unit. But we never all rocked and performed together. And I think that is what hurt us.
Yeah.
And another thing too, if I could just mention this, and I kind of touched on this somewhat on the last podcast, and I wanted to see if Mel agreed with this because he wasn't on last. But remember when I mentioned that I felt that as a group, if we had some mentorship, production on how to record, because I was telling we were self-taught. We were self-taught with everything. Mel did his lyrics, how he knew it. Go ahead.
But see,
go ahead.
You're absolutely correct. The one thing we did, man, is we pretty much learned this on our own.
Yeah, self-taught. Yeah.
And if we had mentorship or the right people to guide us and show us the right way to go, there's no, I mean, we definitely 40-50 would be well out there. Matter of fact, we'd be doing shows right now.
Yeah. So like, we had the right manager, if we had other producers helping me.
And also remember this. By the way, remember this. We came up the same individuals who are legends right now that we go see. We was in that same era. The Lords of the Underground. All of those individuals, we was coming up in that same era. So we could have been one of them.
Yeah.
I have one question. Could you name me some of the people that y'all also had the privilege to bless the stage with during performances and some of the artists y'all came across?
So let me say this. Let me say before we get in that, So one reason I wanted Ra on too is because, and Mel remembers this. So Ra but before Ra met us, Ra was with a crew. Was it TBR? Was that the name of them?
TBR, yeah.
So they were down with Lords before, Lords of the Underground, that whole sect before they got famous.
That's
was rocking with them. That's his history.
Right.
Wow.
All them dudes.
Well,
right?
if we don't get him on this time, hopefully we'll get him on the next open discussion and
big,
have him break that down. That would be dope, definitely.
He rocked with all them guys, and he had mentioned that to us when he came on board, but that was his start with that whole crew. Yeah. So that's like Mel was saying about the people that we came up with. We had, because we all lived in the same area. We would have hooked up with like some Mel and the Flavor Unit guys. They used to see each other all the time. I mean, we used to see Naughty by Nature and then pull up at the liquor store. I mean, if we would have just
hold on.
About my car one time.
Listen,
get ready for it. I mean, we have a lot of stories.
Let me tell you. I want to mention
the
this.
Outlaws with Pop.
Yeah.
So all of them was in the area. If we would have had some connection and got some mentorship from people that was out there, it would have been a whole different scenario.
Yeah. What I want to recap. Who is that? I forget the name. Just runs past my mind. We was at a party that close friend of us invited us to, and I think we just enjoying ourselves. And Do It All is there. Do It All is my man. Big up to Do It All.
You talking about the White's party at the White's house.
That was the White on Cranford Avenue.
Yeah, because they knew. I mean, all of the White's people and some of the people they knew him, and literally and Do It All was famous. They was out and everything. He was just sitting there like a regular person.
Yeah,
Do It
and
All.
so I mean, like
there was all. We all lived in the same area. All these dudes.
Now remind you, when Do It All was at that party, Do It All had already did Chief Rocket and Here Come the Lords and all that.
Wow.
It was a house party.
Yeah.
One of my high school classmates had two roommates, and they were in Irvington. They had this house party, and they just invited him, and he was just there chilling. Already out there. Chief Rocket, like he said, album. That's cool.
And see, hold up, real quick. I want to chat on something. I think, and that was always been. This is me. This has been always been my problem. I've been always trying to establish us getting on. Even with that experience, I just I know Do It All is the man because he's from the same area. But I was trying to battle him to establish us. I remember even, and I want to jump ahead a little bit because I know I'm jumping. The Union Market and Bismarck and Cool V stopping through. And me trying to go after Biz, like, let's battle. Certain people don't acquire that. But I mean, just that history makes me recognize the quality of work, because that's what you had to do to make an impression.
Yo, but check this out. See, you just brought up something else. You just mentioned Biz and Cool V. So let me tell you this, Lotus. So one of the members of our crew, Ali Kwan, right? We talked about him on 40 to Get Loose. So somehow he had Cool V lived in Elizabeth, New Jersey, right? Somehow he had got a connection, and so Cool V had told him to come down to his house in Elizabeth to rock some rhymes with his people. So he took me down there, right? Which is me and Ali. We went down to Cool V's house. Cool V was out there. He was DJing for Biz, all that. Went down to Cool V's house. Had the Volvo from the Vapors video. All that was in the driveway. All that. Got to see all that. So Ali got on the mic, and there was like three other MCs. One of them was his name was White Lightning at the time, but it was Milkbone. I don't know if you remember Milkbone. He was one of them. MCs. And so they was all rocking, and I was like in amazement. I didn't, and Ali was probably the weakest one on it. That's my man. Nothing. These guys was killing it. And then when I thought Cool V was just an average DJ. He got on the tables, flawless. Everything he did was flawless. So I'm gonna say it was just an experience. This is the kind of thing we was around these guys who really did a lot for the culture. And I mean, we was around all these people, man, and we just never got any mentorship. And I just wanted to mention that because to me, that was huge. But we just never got in where we could get mentored by some of these people who made it big.
So I have a question. Do you feel like within hip hop, how it is going, today that the opportunities are more for some of the younger generations within hip hop that was a little different for us starting off?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot different now, man. I don't know if Mel and Haas want to interject on this, but I mean, the sound is totally different. It's different how you can put yourself out there versus a record label versus just being independent and putting things on social media. I mean, it's just totally different now, you know. So, and I'm not really privy to like now how people go about getting, you know, famous. I mean, it's just different, man. I mean, back then, I mean, you really had to know some people or know someone to really get out there. Now you really don't. You can get on social media and do certain things and then start, going viral and then be famous. So I mean, it's just you don't really even have to have talent now. To me, as long as you go viral and people like what you're doing, you can become famous. Back when we did it, you had to have skill and you had to know someone to get out there. That's what I feel. But y'all can chime in.
Do you think the element of releasing a record, the different avenues of what it takes to produce a record changed, and how it changed in the quality of how you seen it as a producer from then to now?
Oh yeah, for sure, man. I mean, like now as far as production, I mean a lot of the artists now, I mean, it's like, so they'll do a song, right? We're just talking about hip hop in general. And then what they'll do with that one song is then they'll have like 3 or 4 more famous artists just do remixes off of the same song and just change up the lyrics. I mean, it's different now. You know, we didn't do that back then. If we did a remix, I mean, we totally changed it up. Now all you're getting is one song with 5 other new artists doing the same song, that's doing a remix, and then putting it out there on social media, or if they're signed, and then that it just keeps blowing up. That's just not how it was back then. You know, it's just
You
different.
feel a lot. The formula has changed, but do you feel the medium has changed? I feel like the media expanded for the amount of things that you have to do, because as a lot of y'all brothers mentioned on the platform, back in the days, you had to really be outside. You had to run into people if you was battling. You had to run into them and really battle a person. It wasn't no online, nothing. You had to be outside. You had to be tapped in, and you had to be places to actually get heard. So
You had to know people.
right.
How many people do we know that came out back in the 90s and 80s that we can say put people on?
That's a great question.
That's a good
Has
question.
anybody from your era,
We can talk different groups.
that you noticed put anybody on? Because when you mentioned there wasn't mentorships, that's a big thing, because within this culture of ours, I feel like people's afraid to have these conversations to share information, which should be something we all share, and the creativity of what we're able to create. And then they
No,
said, great minds think
We
alike.
can go
no.
back to the 80s, and then Haas, I'll let you go. So let's go back to when it was Run DMC, Fat Boys, and Houdini, and UTFO was running things, right? Fat Boys got put on by Curtis Blow. He was their producer. Curtis Blow, he was big back in the early 80s, but he put them on. I mean, Crush would do that. That's just back then. And then, if I go to the 90s, I'm coming off the top. Take Black Moon. Well, Black Moon then put on Smith and Wesson, put on Helter.
Sure.
That's just, you knew people, they brought their people on, and then they popped. Go ahead, Hosh.
Yeah. I'm trying to see if I can find this record. I seen it the other day. I think I sent you guys the link. This is why it's important to stay tuned in and stay connected. Take for instance, Biz. He put Kane on.
Yep.
Rest in peace, Biz.
Kane is a household name. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, it did that at that time. I think I was listening to the Black Moon album, and I forget what track it was. I don't want to.
Don't front. You know I got you open.
Nah. It's a track. I forget what's the name of the track, but
Which
Havoc
album?
is on that track, and nobody recognizes that. But the reason why I say that is the contribution to hip hop. That's what it was about back in the days. I don't think it's about that now. I think it's about number one, promotion, how far you stand out as an artist, the likes, the followers, And you know, it plays its part. But I mean, like, really, I'd rather be able to be substantially successful all the way around. And I mean, no disrespect to YouTube. How much is that award worth? That award that they send you for you get so many likes, how much is that worth? Is that like a gold bar? Can you go cash that in? How much is that worth? You follow what I'm saying? So I mean, we have to keep in mind of the volume in which it acetates for the system. You follow what I'm saying?
Right.
We don't want to we shouldn't get caught up in the latest greatest, because the latest greatest is always going to win. We're from an age and an era from the underdog, so the underdog should win.
Right, right. And let me just say, True. Let me just say, Rip, if you want to talk about put on, if you look at the 80s and the 90s, everyone pretty much who's out there, man, that we grew up listening to was put on by somebody. All of them. All of them. Look at the 80s, look at the 90s. All was put on. Look at Queensbridge. Look at the Bronx. Look at Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Look at New Jerusalem, Dirty Jersey. They was all put on by somebody.
Yeah. Yeah.
You understand? Those are
Yeah.
facts. That's not an
Yeah.
opinion. Those are facts. They was all put on by somebody. Look at the whole flavor unit.
Yeah.
Apache, all of them. All of them
Yeah.
bought in. Latifah, Lock Shabazz, Naughty by
Yeah.
Nature. Everybody was put on by somebody.
Body. You know what I'm saying?
Look at the whole Queensbridge. Look at Queensbridge. Put on.
Yeah.
All of them.
Yeah. Now, look, and this is so funny. Now you got to check out. Look, you got to check out the Wu-Tang. If you're disrespectful in the Wu-Tang Clan show, you call Ghostface out. The crowd's gonna beat that butt. That's how we move. You understand what I'm saying? Because it was about the community and respect in the community. It's not the same. All right.
I think to go back to the conversation, I think the one thing that I wanted to point out is that within the conversation, I heard a lot about it being a collective and everybody's contribution of how it made the strongness in the union from the 40-50 movement from Lew The Deuce and everything he was doing on the production level, from Mr. Rip-U, from him scratching in the techniques and also being pushed to sharpen his sword for rhyming, and Mel-Z and the other brother Rod, I didn't get a chance to join us, and their journey and the hip hop journey. And I was real glad to have this conversation and go into a little more detail, but I did wanted to touch on a few more things before we ended out, because we had a few more things that Lew The Deuce wanted to go into. So I'm gonna leave you to the floor of some of the stuff you wanted to touch up on, and we're gonna continue this open discussion.
So so real quick, just with the timeline, and how y'all can jump in on this. So probably around 95, 96. I think this was around the time just when Mass Confusion did their record. So Bomo put that out, Bomo Records, that was out. They was doing their thing. So we saw, I mean, they didn't blow up or anything, but still they had a single, right? So next, we wanted to say, okay, well, me and Mel, we need to sharpen up. We need to get our stuff out. So we changed our name from Ace and Boost to Wicked Style.
Right.
And then we also did another collab joint called Rockin' Something Fierce, right? So we actually, and there was two versions of it. So, and this is what, before you come on, let me just talk about the two. So one version had all the 40-50 MCs, but it also had some of LB Tread's crew called the UPT at the time. We didn't talk about that on the last podcast. Okay, that one didn't go anywhere. We did a demo, it didn't go anywhere. But then we did a version of it that had actually C. Devious on it, Mel, and Haas, and I think was Ali on that. He might have been on that. But anyway, to make a long story short, we was trying to get, after Mass Confusion got their record, we were trying to get the other members a deal, right? So we started doing other music, and I left that out last podcast. So me and Mel did a few songs. Oz had a song. We had the Rockin' Something Fierce, and then we were trying to get that music out there. And one thing that another correction was that Mass Confusion actually recorded in a home studio. A brother named Tyrone was an engineer. Was in Orange, New Jersey. But we all, after they recorded there, we all went there as well as 40/50 and individual groups, Wicked Style and all that, to also record demos to try to shop those. So, and I neglected to mention that. So that was something else in the
I have a few questions to ask you about Mass Confusion, but I'll let Hassan say something before we go into that.
I love it. I'm here. I love it. I love the scenarios. You call me by my government. You can call me Haas. You can call me Mr. Rip. You can call me Lord True. You can call me the Uncle Sam. I think when you talk about the Rockin' Something Fierce, it's important to you guys understand. I think it's actually 3 versions to it.
It might be.
And Mel was on every version. I think the remix was C Devious, me, and Mel, and we had another version which was Tread, Ali, and Claudie.
Yeah.
They made up to 20. We had another group that was supposed to branch off called
that was LB.
Uptown 28.
EP.
Uptown 28. So when you hear Tread, sometimes you hear them refer to Uptown 28.
Yeah.
So we did like different twists. But the copy that we have left over, I still have a copy. It just sounds a little warped.
But the one that we released, let them know the one that we released in 2010 was the one with you, Mel, and C Devious. We put that out in 2010. That's
so, but we have a 4th version, which is a 2010 version with Craig G.
That's the one that everybody can check out on the page of the Get Loose movement.
No. I don't think I have.
There's a Craig G special. If I'm correct, there is a Craig G video on there on the Get Loose All Stars page.
Right,
so for everybody that's unaware of some of the music, we would like y'all to please make sure you read the description box so you can see everything in detail of what's going on, because we can't always play the music through the YouTube, but we can show you where to find the music to enjoy and leave your criticism and review. Go ahead, my brother.
Yeah. So
before you finish, let me. All right, go ahead.
And I'm not gonna hold you, but I just don't want to get confused. We have 2 songs with Craig G. 2 songs. So one was Craig G. One was Rockin' Something Fierce, which we released.
Remix.
The second one we didn't release, which is the 4th version of Rockin' Something Fierce.
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead. Go.
So one thing back when we were doing Rockin' Something Fierce back in the 90s, and Mel, you might have to come on because you know about this cut too. So there was we also got another collaboration joint. Tried to do a demo for, we never finished, but it was called Blow 'Em Out Like Afros. It was inspired by Haas. He came up with it. I produced the beat. It was a break beat, but I didn't like it. For some reason, I just didn't like it.
No,
so I don't think you was on this song. You remember Blowing Out Loud? I don't think you rocked on it. So, but one time I had played the beat for everybody, and I think everybody, but Mel liked it. So Haas liked it, Ali liked it, and some of the UPT crew was down with it, liked it. So we tried to put it together. Wait a minute, did you do a verse on that, Mel? Or no?
No.
Okay. No. Anyway, we tried to put that together. But for some reason, Jokers just liked it. And we tried to put that together at the same studio Mass Confusion was in Orange, and we just never could get it done. But it was dope, but we just could not complete it. I just needed to mention that because that was a song that Haas, he came up with the title and he wanted to do it, and we tried it and it just didn't work. That was just a project.
That's why the original was always better. That's why the original was always better.
Hold on, I have a question about that. How was it to do the recording process for both of those songs? Did you come up with the idea? Did you find it easy working with finding the right beat to fit everybody for the track? And
I
what
got
did y'all, wait, and then the part two of that question is, what did y'all feel it was to write? Do you feel he picked the right beat to fit you? That's important. So it's a two-part question. Go ahead, my brother.
So the first part, we're talking about Rockin' Some Fears, the original production. And I bet you Mel doesn't know this to this day. Me and Mel did a song called Introduction. It was our first song we did in '89. So I was messing around with that, right? I played it backwards and add something to it, right? I was just messing around with it. I don't know if you remember this. Haas was downstairs in my house doing something. He came up, heard it. He was like, yo, do you remember that? He was like, see, what are you playing? I had spin an introduction backwards, the beat, the tune, and I added something. He was like, yo, we got to use that. And that became the beat for Rockin' Some Fears. Was that part of that bass line was introduction backwards with some other stuff to it.
Well, did you pre-hear that? Did you pre-hear to play it backwards? Like
I was messing around, man. I was messing around with beats, and I said, let me just take a beat that I did and let me just mess around. I spinned it backwards, and I was like, oh, it's dope. And then Haas came up the stairs and like he like just went on. When he heard it, I was like, okay, then that must mean it must be dope. And we just took that beat and we made Rod. He might not remember that, but that's how that beat came for us to use it for Rockin' Some Fears.
Wow.
It was backwards, yo, of a song that I already did with Mel.
Wow. That's dope. That's
so
dope.
how hard was it for you to write to the song? Did you already know what you wanted to put with the music when you heard the beat, or how was the collaboration of putting a song and giving everybody their part? Like, how was that organized?
I eventually just put the beat together with some basics and then gave it to the crew and they just wrote to it.
Okay. Yeah. So y'all would set up writing time with the group when y'all get a beat. So CP Lew would send the beat out.
Y'all probably just write it home, right? Because they didn't
No.
That's why I'm asking.
The only track I think that we may have wrote at home was "We Get Naked." Everything else was wrote in the studio.
How long did it take to write the song?
Crazy Hip Hop. Crazy Hip Hop was written at home.
No, but I'm just saying most of Mel's lyrics he wrote, he had a whole pad of lyrics. Yeah. He wrote those at home. I think the only ones I know that Mel wrote at my house was some of the songs we did. Run the Skids, we wrote that first verse at my house, but everything else.
Let him tell us. Let him tell. It's his story. Let him tell.
Well, where did you write your lyrics?
Let's hear about that, my brother. Break it down. You got a good memory, my brother. all my lyrics is written at home. All my lyrics. Yeah, just a few just a few like CP said was written up in his crib, but all my lyrics.
Why did we do that? Why did we do that at my house? That was because we decided to change up one song and rhyme together. That was the only reason. We were trying to do something.
Correct. I wrote all my lyrics at home, straight off the paper.
What was your first impression when you first heard the beat? Did you already know how you wanted to attack it, or was you like, how did y'all craft the concept?
You talking about which song?
I think you're talking about Rockin' Some Fears.
Rockin' Some Fears.
I don't know. I don't know how.
That's a good question.
See, one thing about Mel I can say about him real quick is that Mel only wanted to rock the serious beats, right?
Yeah,
that's what
he had his favorite.
Form out like Afro.
That's like me. I ain't mad at you.
Outlandish beat. Like, he wasn't gonna rhyme. He wasn't gonna rhyme to that. So when I put a beat to him, if it wasn't serious to him, he wasn't gonna write to it.
He'll walk right out. When you hear his head bobbing, you know that shit is shaking. You gotta read his whole thought. When you play something, you like, hold on, he ain't rocking. Nah, that ain't it. Then you see him going like this. When you see him in the zone, that's when you know he's it. That's when you know your partner. Exactly. You know how to read the room.
But you know what? Hey, Lotus. I told CP that from the beginning. I said, look, this is the type of individual I am. If you put on something that's playful, if you put on something that's a little, that's not my style. Nope. You got to get something else. For me to rock, I need a serious beat. Yeah. That showcase my rhymes.
Yeah.
That's just the rhyme style. That's the rhyme style that I have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sean, you was gonna say something?
Yeah, and see, I think that is so important for me to mention. I think when you talk about 40-50 Get Loose, the tactic and styles, uh, I think serious writers do serious business. So they don't have to prove themselves. I think when you're talking about Mel, you're talking about Ra, those are serious lyricists. They're serious about their lyrics. Ali, Ali, he can maneuver. He can be the popular artist. He can be the underground artist.
Yeah, that's true.
So
That's
with,
true.
I mean,
He
with that
adapts to
channel,
whatever.
right? With me, I was, with me as my personality, I was straight biz. I was straight old dirty bastard. So I mean, my thing was making sure you understand that lyrically, we're gonna tangle. I don't come at me no sideways, because if I study, then I'm gonna come back with something fierce. But I wanted to also keep something funny and hysterical, the personality.
That's
So I
true.
think
That's true.
the
That's
different
true.
individuals that played that whole coin, it was I think it was pre-Woo, before Woo.
And I can tell you how that played out. So when we did We Get Naked, right? So if you listen to the song, Ra was very picky on what he would rhyme over. Mel wanted serious beats, and Haas, as long as it could be outlandish for Haas. So if you listen to that song, when they rock, there was different music over each verse. So like Ra didn't like the main tune. He liked it, but he didn't want to rock over it to that song.
Okay.
So when his verse came on, he was rocking to those drums only. There was a certain sample I did with the drums.
Correct.
All he wanted to rock with. Mel wanted both. He wanted the drum part and the music.
Exactly.
And then Haas had this part that had a crazy piano in it. Mel and Ra would never rock to that, but Haas liked it. He rocked to it. That's just how they had their certain styles where they would rock to.
Yeah.
So my question for you was, you had to make different cuts that complemented everybody for when they was coming in, or was that pre-designed? Like,
I made the beat, right? And I don't know if I wanted that piano or if you wanted it. I forgot, Haas. You might have
Haas wanted that piano.
So and the thing is, so when I put that in there, like him and Ra was like, nah, I ain't rocking to that. And Haas, I want that in my verse. So we kept it in there with his verse, and then Ra was like, no, I don't want the main bass line in my rhyme. I want the drum part. So we had to.
Whoa, that's dope.
You know what I'm saying? So, but it was made out a certain way, but then it was adjusted based on what the MCs wanted to rock over.
Do you feel that was hard to maneuver the different styles of everybody to fit the record, or you already knew you had like a preset plan?
So what normally happens when I made beats, right? Just like I said with Mel, I gave Mel plenty of beats to listen to. Some he said he liked, some he didn't, right? The ones that might not have been serious enough, I would use for another artist. So I would put the beat out there like it was, and then based on what the MC wanted, it could get adjusted. And that's why I brought up We Get Naked. So I put the beat out like it was. I might have had in Ra's verse, I might have had the bass line there. He was like, nah, I ain't rocking to that. So we had to make it.
Timeline. Let me timeline. Nah, actually, to be honest, with the We Get Naked, that's that heat wave. We did that in the studio. You did the sample in the studio. We did all that.
So the heat wave was the bass line I'm talking about, but because Ra wanted a certain, he would not rhyme over heat wave sample.
It had to be changed.
He wanted. I don't know. There was another part of the song that had the drum beat and it had another drum sample in it, and that's what he wanted to rock to. Mel said, okay, he liked the tune, but he wanted both. When we mixed it, he wanted both in his.
Correct.
So we just had to. We collaborated. We was a team, so we made it like everybody wanted. That's how we did it.
So the collaboration of everybody's different style and the art of what they contributed made more the element of it to stand out, because everybody had a different point they wanted to rock to. So you're gonna be like, oh,
regardless of how I produced it, you can switch up based on the MCs.
Okay. Yeah. So what gave you the name for those two songs? Like Butt Naked, that sound like Freaknik, man. What's going on? Hey, talk about it. Let's be talking about the 80s. He said, I'm like, wow, bro, I missed it.
No, I think if I'm not mistaken, I think Ali came up with the title "We Get Naked."
He came up with it.
Ali came up with that hook.
He did.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's stuck.
Well, but did
So-
he come up with the title too, or just came up with the hook?
No, he came up with the hook. So we
No, he
basically
came-
said it sticks.
Yeah, he came up. Ali, I don't know if you or Haas came up with the name of the song, but Ali came up with the
With
hook.
the hook.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the We Get Naked, from what I think, I thought Haas came up with the title.
I may
It
have.
didn't
I
mean
may
that
have.
we
I
came
just,
up with that We Get
it
Naked, like,
just stuck.
We get ill on the mic. We get, we ripping it. That's what it meant.
Yes, sir.
Now my second question. You had a feature that I feel was hot that y'all went into earlier with Craig G, right? Do you feel after the feature was done, do you feel you had the same support from him pushing the record as one of the main artists also on it? Or what would you do different about that record for the push if you could go back?
Yeah. From what I remember, and y'all can chime in too, I don't remember actually Craig G actually pushing it. I remember him being supportive.
Okay.
As far as asking Haas to go to certain events, certain
So he would pull up and show love. Okay.
No, I mean, he invited them to like album release parties and different shows.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shout outs, but I don't know like if he was instrumental in actually pushing the song out.
No, he wasn't. No, that was the furthest thing from his mind.
Right. Yeah. Great.
That was the furthest thing from his mind. I mean, he looked out, he helped us out, and then since he was on it, he said, "Well, these some cool brothers, he invited us to SOBs and certain clubs in Manhattan, and when we got there, he showed us love. But outside of that, it was nothing about him trying to
Usher you in or nothing.
Nothing like that. Nothing like that.
Okay.
Yeah, we did that ourselves. We put it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a lot. So that's a lot. Could you name me some of the other artists or features people that worked also within the field that you ran into while promoting the music?
So and I think I put that in my notes too. So there were a couple of people that we were trying to do some collabs with that I was trying to hook up because the collabs weren't free, right? So we're talking about old school artists. At the time, they weren't getting notoriety. So the way a lot of them made money were shows, and then they would do features with people coming up, and they would charge for the verses, right? This is just how they made money. So
what was the going rate at that point?
I don't remember what Craig G charges for that. Man.
No, it was honestly back then. It was like I think it was like $250. It wasn't a lot.
Yeah,
that's what make it a classic. You know what I'm saying? Now it's a different ball. Price went up, like Fat Joe said.
Yeah, but some of the people I talked to AG, who was connecting over Messenger and Facebook. I was trying to get us with him. He wanted too much. I mean, I don't remember what I just remember was too much. Talked to G-Rap, too much. So now Doc Ice was the only one who was thinking about working with us. He wasn't. I don't remember him. He was going to charge us anything. But Doc Ice from UTFO, I don't think he didn't really know us that well. So I don't think he just wanted to meet us out the blue and do something. But we almost had him, and he actually even critiqued some of our music. I sent We Get Naked and some other stuff, and he's like, "Okay, yeah, it's pretty nice. Y'all should have did this here, that. You guys are cool, but we could never get him in the studio." So, but he didn't know us, right? We're talking. This is social media, how we're connecting, right? But I was trying to hook that up.
When you was reaching out to everybody, do you find
I was reaching out to him on social media. Yeah, that's what I did.
Do you feel it was hard to reach out to some of the artists to be able to get in contact with them? Or
with the technology, it wasn't hard. It was all out there on social media. All you had to do, like Craig G was on MySpace promoting that he would do a verse for people. I just sent him a message, "Yo, let's connect, man. You a rap legend, let's do something." And boom, he'll hit back. Doc Ice was on Facebook. I just reached out to him, friend request, start talking to him, sending the music. Same with G-Rap, AG. They're on there, and they'll talk to you, and they'll give you a price, and you either do it or you don't. So with the technology, it made it easier to reach out to the legends like that. Because even though they were legends back in
but here's one big point I want to point out. Even at that point when y'all started, nothing was free.
No, for sure. Oh no, it
No.
was for you talking about when in 2010?
No, I'm talking about when y'all first started to now, from being able to
Oh yeah,
have the
nothing was free.
turns.
Studio time,
Nothing was
yeah,
free.
none of that.
Nothing was free. Even the features. So they can like your music and give you a discount on the price, but they're not just doing it for free. So do
Right.
you feel like the first part of the relationship have to be that you're able to support paying someone for their contribution to your work because you're putting it out, or just that they would automatically gravitate because you was in the field?
No, it was a business. So
Yeah.
it was about money. You
And,
gotta understand, these guys weren't big like they were in 90s and 80s. They made a living off of this. You talk about G-Rap, AG, and all them. They weren't going to jobs working. They were still doing music. This is how they got paid: shows, features. This was their life, so it was business for them.
Go
yeah.
ahead, Mr. Ripp-U.
And so with that said, I can't be mad at that. You know what I'm saying? But this has always been my thing. In terms of recording music, it's just that interaction in the studio. It's something different with the development because you can see the eye to eye. We have the meeting of the mind. So I mean, I'm not taking anything away from that because look, it's a blessing. It's a blessing. Even if he would have just if we could have just got him to say ha 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 on the record, it would have been a blessing because he's a legend. But the chemistry changes when you're in the studio. So I personally, I think you asked this before in the other interview. I prefer artists sitting down with each other because everybody got their own view and we can all get inspired by each other.
So real quick, because I know we'll probably run out of time, but before we go, I think this is important. What we talk about from what we did back in the early 90s, late 80s, a lot of music we put out was never released. We know Mass Confusion was the only artist that actually got a record deal. 2010, we decided to release a lot of the 90s music. I think, go ahead.
Before we go past that, because we skipped off, I wanted to go back to Mass Confusion. So
Okay.
before you went to the point of they got a deal, could you give us a little details about how the production was made? Of course, it was LB Tread and his partner Devious, which was unable to be with us today, and we hope we get him in the next open discussion if possible. But I'm gonna let you go into the details of how the group was started. Where did they reach? At what point in the music they put out? Go ahead, because they also can find I Do My Dirt and the singles also listed in the description box.
Yeah.
So make sure you pay attention to the interview. For everybody, I want to hear a lot of the music and everything that was put out by these gentlemen. Go ahead, my brother.
Yeah. So the long story short, back in 95, 94, 95, LB, he had a cousin who had a studio. He was his brother had a studio, Barry and Larry. And Barry knew C. Devious. He knew I was a producer because we in 91 had the 40/50 demos we were doing. And so he wanted to put together, Barry wanted to get a group. He wanted to put something together. So he introduced me to C. Devious. He told me to produce something. We produced. C. Devious did some music. I did some lyrics, and we tried to put together some songs. It was nice, but it just, I don't think it was good enough personally for a demo. So Barry had a cousin named LB. Haas knew him. They got him, so long story short, him and CD was together. And then Barry came up with a title, I Do My Dirt, had an old beat, probably like from 94, that I did. And we let them listen to it. And they said, hey, this is the song we want. Lew, do the hook. I did the hook. Barry did the title. Boom. It was the first song that was made for Mass Confusion. I don't know who came up with the name Mass Confusion. Was it LB? Haas? I don't know.
It might have been. It might have been Tread. It might have been Tread. Big up.
With the name.
Get well soon, my dude. Get well soon,
Shout
bro.
out
We're
to
gonna get you on the track.
LB. We love you, my brother.
It was
Get well soon.
it was Tread.
Blessings to the family and everybody.
All right, Mel said it was Tread that came up with the name.
It was Tread. Tread came up with that name.
Came up with Mass Confusion. Okay, so that's how that song was put together. Okay, probably maybe a year later, 95, 96, Barry's you know, setting up the record label, independent label, Bomo Records, I produced another beat. And I know for sure this title Tread came up with, State Your Name, State Your Game. He came up with the title of it. And so we put that song together all in the studio. And eventually we put out the single. State Your Name, State Your Game was a single. The B-side was I Do My Dirt. And we talked about that last time, how that was, we put the single out with the wrong one. Do My Dirt didn't have a radio version. And that should have been the song to be first, because that's the one that made noise overseas 10, 12 years later when we saw it all on YouTube and on the internet. So that's kind of how that single came about in 96. I know those are some of the main parts of it. Go ahead.
So that's why I say Tread is my dude. He's going to be on my album, Just Press Record, thick and thin. Always been a good brother to me. These brothers has always been good brothers to me from day one. So it's a pleasure to me to have them sit down on this platform, because I want you guys to understand where my mindset is at. It's not all about what we've been. It's about where we're going. And it's important to me not to forget about where my past has been, but to understand where my past has been for me to learn from it in order to grow. All right.
So I want Mel to I touched on this just a little bit last podcast, but I want you to kind of go into detail of your thoughts on this. So after Mass Confusion was out, Barry did what he did with the record. Barry had heard Straight Off the Paper. It was a single that Mel put together. It's all inspired by him. I did produce it, but he came up with the title. He came up with the lyrics. It was actually a song that we actually put together before even MK was even thought of, actually. But Barry ended up hearing it and liked it, right? And wanted to actually put it out in his independent label. What I wanted Mel to talk about, if you remember that, is why did you choose not to go? Why did you not want to put that out? And I know, but I want you to say it for the podcast reason. Why did you not move forward with Bomo Records on Straight Off the Paper when Barry wanted to put it out there?
Well, with no disrespect, or actually with all due respect, I wanted to see what he was going to do with Mass Confusion. It seems like, as I was observing how he was handling producing Mass Confusion, I just wanted to see what he was going to do with them. It seems like things wasn't moving properly. It seems like there was no progress. It seems like it wasn't being handled properly. And that's with no disrespect at all. I mean, we all young. We all learning. And that part of it was new to us. So I just wanted to see how he was going to handle them first. And like I said, like you just said, they made noise overseas. And we didn't even know that. We didn't know that until 2010, 2011, 2012. We didn't know that that song had made noise overseas. Sometimes, you don't make the right decisions. Had we, put Straight Off the Paper out, that could have been a hit as well. That could still be. Listen, I put my heart into that song for real, and I still think that song is still dope to this day.
That was to me. That was one of the best songs we had out of the crew. That's in my opinion.
To this day, I mean, if things was like they was, if it was like it was back in the 80s, 90s, where you put those songs on the radio platform and let it get some airtime, straight up hit. To this day.
And one reason, before you go, one reason I wanted him to mention that is because technically there was an opportunity for another group to get signed to a record. It's just it wasn't accepted. So that's the only reason I wanted him to put that out there. But go ahead.
Yeah. So my thought was that I think when we talk about Wicked Styles, Ace and Deuce, I Straight Up the Paper was just the creme of the creme, bro. You guys had so many awesome hits, and that's why I think that it's not fair that you got jaded.
Mm-hmm.
The
I feel.
world,
Listen, true. I'm sorry, not to cut you. I feel the same. I feel the same way because I feel that that particular song. I'm trying to tell you right now, and I'm going to say this until the master calls me. That song right there, I know was a catalyst. Whether
yeah,
not just for Wicked Styles, for Ace and Deuce. I'm telling you, that could have been just a catalyst. Remember, I refer to 40/50 Get Loose as another flavor unit. That could have been another song to
yeah,
set off the 40/50 Get Loose. I'm trying to tell you now. I know this.
yeah. And this is what was always on my intake of it. As we see, and this is why I like to look at it and in a big sense, because I think the interpretation of hip hop, we get it construed. We take the youngest and we don't respect. We take the youngest and accept it, but we won't respect the old. And what I mean by respect the old is the contributors towards the industry and the music. So to me, it's important that along that trail you have stories. I think Nas, reason why Nas is so phenomenal, because he was able to share his stories from 17 to 18 to 20. You understand what I'm saying? And he was able to have that channel where people listen to him. Whereas compared to Big Daddy Kane, um, when he started evolving, and we're talking about in terms of Veterans Day, everybody like shut him down. So I mean, like, I think with us, as I think about the revolving, I would embellish, and I think the world would not be ready, and it would be shell shock if they had like a Wicked Styles album 2024.
For
Because I
real.
think listen, and reason
For
why I
real.
say this because when it comes to hip hop, we're not ready for growth. We're in a standstill. So if you put up that one hit, that's what people expect of you. People don't respect
And
people. People don't respect people as a collection, and so
I'm telling you.
this is why we're here, because I want everybody to respect. When we talk about releases and my album coming out, it's not about me. It's collective. I want everybody to respect the collection because it's a sense of growth. We get cheated, so that's why I say that. With Wicked Styles in 2024, it would be
And
so
and
advanced.
and let me tell you something. Let me tell you something, Rip. I respect that because, I heard your album, and your album is you, and it's dope. Your album
Thank
is
you.
your album is you, your album is you, and it's dope. One
Thank you.
thing I'm gonna say is what you just said. Drop that straight off the paper right now. Drop it to
Yeah.
the listeners right now and
It's
see.
on the
I'm
link.
telling you,
He put
and
on. He
see
put
what
on.
Wait,
type.
wait, wait, wait. For
See what type of
everybody,
response you see what
don't
type of
just
response you
For
get now.
everybody, don't just listen to this open discussion. Be sure to tap into, subscribe to the channel, check out the joint, and don't just appreciate the brothers' conversation. Go in that dialogue box and check out the music. Leave your comments, support, show the love because they're giving you their understanding of hip hop because hip hop touches everybody out there. So we're not just here to tell you stories. That you can hear the music from the work that each of these gentlemen on this panel put in to bring hip hop out. And not just that, but everything that's here to come. And I wanna and before we do closings and anything, I want everybody to get a chance to say two things. What hip hop means to you and your message to everybody pursuing hip hop right now.
Oh,
Each of
that's
y'all.
that's deep. You go first, Brett. Well,
You want me to sit now? You don't want me to open that door.
yeah, you open the door.
Um,
You go first, man.
That's
what
deep.
hip hop?
Let's talk about it. This is
Nah,
open
real talk.
discussion. Let's talk about
Nah,
it.
real talk, bro. And this is real talk. Hip hop saved my life, bro. I mean, I could have been a grimy. I'm an honest to God, working hard every day, love my family, my wife, my kids, and that's what it's about. It's the Lord of the land. So when I think about the impact hip hop has brought to me, I mean, I can be somewhere and I can see somebody and it inspires me. That's what hip hop does. But it's up to us as the next generation. We're the Generation X. It's up for the next generation to see that and understand that. I think when we talk about music, we jump the gun and we don't look into our past and our library and what we have sustained for this amount of time. You know, the Coltrane's, um, the George Bensons, uh, um, um, James Brown, you know, the DJ Premiers. You know, that you know what I mean. We can go to house music as well, but I mean, this knowledge is here for you to sustain, and the information is there for you to absorb. It's up for the next generation to see what they do with the music. So I think what I would like to do in my life, I would like people to appreciate what I contribute to the music, and I wouldn't say industry, just to the music. I just want you to listen to the lyrics because I think every person on my team, is including myself, the lyrics speak for themselves.
Just press record.
That's all.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, Mr. Mel-Z.
Up next.
He want to think about that. Go ahead, see. Go
Oh,
ahead,
you gonna
talk,
talk
see.
for a minute?
Yeah,
So I'm
give me
gonna
a couple minutes.
short because I know we run out of time. It's late. So you know what hip hop means to me, man. It's definitely it's a culture. Probably one of the main things.
Yeah.
How we walk, how we talk, how we dress, music. But one of the big things, me and Mel was really a proponent of this. Is when we talk about hip hop and as far as like the music part of it, um, what's important to me is that people understand that it's got to be about the art, right? So it's got to be about putting time into it, coming up with very important and substantive lyrics, good music, beats, and cuts and scratches. Me and Mel we connected on that. That was a big part of what we felt hip hop meant to us. Dope beats, dope rhymes, cuts and scratches, culture, and not about money, not about fame and fortune, right? Having fun, loving what you do, but rhymes, lyrics, scratches, that's the essence, that's the culture. That's what we built 40/50 on. That's what we built the music on, and that's just why I keep it. Because I can go into a lot of stuff, but I'm just going to keep it at those three things, as that's what it means to me. So,
On you, Z.
yeah.
What's
Wait,
your
hold on, hold
interpretation?
on, hold
Oh,
on.
I'm sorry for the youth. Can I say?
Yeah, don't forget that. That's
Yeah,
very important.
what I would say for the people that's coming up now, because man, I could probably be really opinionated about this, but so I just think for now, as far as like new hip hop, because that's probably one of the music right now that I probably do not listen to now. Like today's R&B and all that, I listen to all that, but when it comes to like what they're calling rap or hip hop now, to me, it's not. It's like a whole different. It should be called something else. So what I would say with new music, I would say there's a culture in this. There's an art, and there's certain things that are part of the basics of this, regardless of what the sound is. Right? You can have your own sound. It can sound modern. It can be today, but the elements need to always be there. It needs to be lyrical. The beat needs to be move people, and there needs to be some type of a cut and scratches. To me, that stuff doesn't get old. That's part of the culture and the element and the essence of true hip hop. So that's what I would say to the new people. You need to have that in there, regardless of what age it is, because that's what it was built on. And the new people need to embrace the pioneers and the legends. You need to learn from those people.
And hold up.
Well,
And before hold up, before Mel
that's
speak. And I think hold up
that.
real quick. Reason why I think CP said that. I'm sorry, I'm not just trying to cut you, Mel. Reason why I think CP said that, and I want you guys to pay very close attention to what he said. He said modernize the scratching, the cuts. I think the world is the reason why where the hip hop community is so divided is because we don't have the two together. So I think if we had the two together, maybe the next generation would understand and appreciate what we contributed to hip hop. You, Mel. I'm sorry about that, fam. I'm so sorry about that, sir.
We're getting passionate.
No. I mean, I don't really have to say too much because the brothers on the panel pretty much took the words out of my mouth. CP, you said exactly what I was going to say. Everything you said is exactly what I was going to say. So I'm not going to repeat that and sound redundant. Hip hop is culture. Hip hop is beats, rhymes, cuts, and scratches. Um, Hip hop is a positive influence. Hip hop saved lives. How many individuals that you know right now that will attest to say hip hop saved my life? It's important.
Right here.
It's important. And another thing is you guys both touch base on what's new out there and what's missing. And there's no cuts, there's no scratches, there's no originality. It's not a disrespect at all because I give props to anybody that's trying to go out there and try to do this. It's not easy, and it takes ingenuity and it takes a lot of work. So, and no, I would never ever disrespect any new individual who's trying to get out there and do this. However, CP, he said it. It's missing a lot. Today's
Formula.
music, yeah,
The formula.
it's just
Formula.
missing a lot. That you have a lot of individuals out here today that when we was growing up, we wanted to know our history. We wanted to know that the pioneers. We wanted to know everything about the individuals who started this, who was involved with this. How many individuals today actually know the history of hip hop? If you ask them certain questions, they have zero clue. Zero clue. Listen to KRS-One. You have individuals who call themselves MCs. Listen to KRS-One's song, The MC. He breaks it down. He wrote that song for a reason. And I want one of you guys to tell me what's the reason why KRS-One wrote that song, The MC.
That's it.
Lotus to answer this one. He the host. Because come on, BX.
Well, as a MC and me being from the Bronx and everything, and the impact KRS had on me in hip hop, and not just seeing his teachings and seeing everything, I think he wanted to break it down to give everybody a definition of higher MC. So when I looked at KRS-One, I looked at the higher level of MCing because at that point he was doing something different. So music to me is not being afraid to do something different, to express your art. So just in the words of the great Mel-Z, he said, you have to respect everybody that's coming new in the game because they're learning. They're just absorbing. We see how many new people that's just hearing albums we grew up and was inspired by, and they're just hearing it late. So they may catch things a little later because they didn't have that early curveball that we may have had being on point with the ear to the streets, or just being able to be out there and run into other people, being in ciphers with other MCs and picking up. And most important thing about this is a collective and a strong network of brothers that believe in each other and inspire each other to be better. So this is why we're having this open discussion because I feel like everybody in this panel sharpened everybody's sword. I love the contribution in hip hop, but I feel one thing is missing right now. I'm gonna blow everybody's mind. Nobody said the songs you want everybody to listen to. So we got to go down the line. I want everybody to point out the songs you want this audience to be aware of in case they didn't check, because a lot of people's checking out things late. So we want to make sure they check in and don't check out. So we want to give them that right accurate information for that. You feel me?
Yeah.
So if you're just talking about, Get Loose, catalog, so obviously, we got several groups, in the crew here. So definitely we wanted to check out, the 40/50 songs, that we did a collaboration that's Rocking Something Fierce, We Get Naked. A lot of them they can hear on the Get Loose YouTube page. Mass Confusion, obviously, their stuff is out there. State Your Name, I Do My Dirt. We even got Wicked Style Music out on YouTube. Run the Skiz. Straight Off the Paper, I think that link is private, so they can actually see it that you put there, but they got to hit the link to see that. And then we have Kick It to Your Area. So those are the main ones that are actually out, probably for people to see that are on YouTube. Now, there's more music, but I'm just mentioning the ones that are out for people to listen to. I would say those. If I'm missing something, y'all.
Okay.
Mel-Z, tell me those songs you want these people to get that source in, brother.
Straight off the paper. Straight off the paper.
It's listed. So if you don't know, check that dialogue box because we got that fire and we want to get y'all reviews and basically not just give y'all a story of everybody that's creating this culture of ours, but get an insight of the music and get a one-on-one with everybody and get a little bit of the history and the creation of this music. So I'm glad we had everybody on the panel to go into this discussion in part 2 of open discussion where we're talking about things. But of course, we cannot forget one of the men of the hour, DJ Mr. Rip-U. We want to know, where can they find the music? What do you want them to check out that highlights you, and tell us a little bit about where they could find that at besides the links for everybody so they could get a little feedback as to what they need to listen for if they missed it.
You can listen to, of course, you can know my DJ sets, of course. That's on that could be found on SoundCloud, as well as my solo music, as well as the Get Loose music. I want you guys to check We Get Naked. I want you guys to really check out the development of your boy's skills, all right? So I want you to check out We Get Naked. I want you to check out Crazy Hip Hop. I want you to check out the remix for Crazy Hip Hop because I produced it. See, come on now. I want you to check out every element. We Get Rocking Something Fierce. I want you to check out all elements of that whole music and how we flipped that track in so many ways. I also want you to check out for Always in the Kitchen Cooking Crack, like Rob Ford, that was on Do It All's mixtape. Check that out. I've been active. I want you guys to check out the 40/50, of course. It's got my man Tread, LB Tread. It's got CP on the hook. We got DJ James 90 that stepped in and did a lot of remixes.
What was that song called? They actually, you guys put that one out there. What was that one called?
Been Here.
Been Here, that's right. Yeah.
Been Here. We also got some new works ahead of us. We got LB Tread solo. Hopefully, God willing, he's gonna come through and bless you guys with this album. But he's on the album. Lotus is on the album. Like I said, I want you guys to check out the whole history of Get Loose All Stars because that's how it unfolds to where we at now. All right.
And wait, hold on. You got a new album coming out?
Of course.
So talk about that for a little bit. And what's that guy name? Mr. Del-G, the genius, because he got some classics and you can catch him on Connect the Bars. Don't forget that. But we'll get back to that later. This is open discussion about everything that's going on musically so you could be cultivated and elevated.
Yeah. I think we got like 12 layouts for that. We got at least 12 layouts for that. And plus some extra bonos, you know what I mean, that we ain't even leak out. Yo, it's unreleased. I'm just gonna plug. because I know somebody gonna say, "Shh, Borderlines." Borderlines is authentically sick, bro. It's nothing like it. Um, so I guess what I want you guys want you to remember is that the elements. We're throwing a little rock. We're throwing a little hip hop. We got house music on the album. We're taking it there.
Do they
It's
get a
the album.
preview? Do
I
they
think
get a
it's
preview of some of the cuts from your albums, and where can they find it at?
well. I think if you want to, and you can always look on TikTok. You can follow me, the Heat Keeper, on Gmail, or you can email me. I can send you tracks or what have you. You can follow me on Twitter under 4050 DJ Mr. Rip-U, the Heat Keeper. It's out there, bro. I mean, they just got to do the research, connect the bars. You know what I'm saying?
And
We
don't
can,
forget, shout outs to Del G, Urban Gardens
of
album out
course,
now,
of course,
and where you will
genius.
get to see some previews of cuts from DJ Mr. Rip-U album and Connect the Bars, of course. You have the leading song, Connect the Bars from Lotus, Living Off the Usual, of course. What more can I say? Harder Than Hard. You got Universal Robbery. Shout outs to LB Tread, Fire Killed It, Mac Cheese. We also got the upcoming video and the
Boom.
single for Rumors. Fire. Brother's been putting in a lot of work. We hope you enjoy it. We're going to talk about that on a whole nother day. I don't want to, let the cat out the bag, but make sure you follow those music links. They're posted down there in that description box. Check everything out. You'll be sure to see Lotus music. If you don't know, just Google me, Lotus, Living Off the Usual. Can't miss it. I'm like a traffic light. I'm going always. Signal's always on. But
Yeah.
outside of that, you know what I'm saying? I just wanted to give y'all a preview so you have a little understanding about the people we're sitting with, the dedication of music. I didn't want to bore y'all too much and talk about everything in general. I wanted y'all to get an understanding of the artists you're sitting with before you showcase some of the music and see that so you can hear some of the inspiration and motivation behind the development of the music. And I'm very blessed to have the chance to sit down with these brothers and bring this to you, the people. And we hope you enjoy this open discussion and everything else we have coming. And like I said, we look out for more things by my brother Mel-Z, DJ CP Lew The Deuce, DJ Mr. Rip-U with the album. Just press record. I ain't got to say no more. Connect the boss. We coming real soon. Just keep following. Lotus, Living Off the Usual. Make sure you tag into the links. You check out everything. And for the closing statements, I'm going to let my brothers close out.
Yeah.
Well, Rip,
Look, I just, I want to thank you, and I'm sure we're going to do this again. I want to thank my brothers. I really want to thank you guys for even the time is money and money is time. You could have been anywhere else in the world. You could have been in your bed sleep, but you spent that time with me. That means that you extended your arm to me. With that said, that's why it's important to me, not for me to get my flowers, because it's already in stone. It's going to be what it's going to be. I wanted the podcast viewers and listeners to understand the foundation of what you guys mean to me. And I don't mean just CP, I mean Lotus, Mel-Z, you know what I'm saying? Whoever couldn't be here, I appreciate just your time because that's more important to me. So I thank you guys.
for sure. And I'm just keep mine short and sweet, man. I appreciate you, Lotus, for having us. And one of the main things I appreciate is just you, because I know you and Haas, obviously y'all are doing, music like currently, which is good. But I just appreciate you just even having, the insight and the want to know like our past and, because, we're not, like a famous group at all, but we feel that we contributed to the culture. So we appreciate you just even having that insight to say, hey, I like these brothers' material. They really contributed. Let me have them on. I mean, that just feels good to even have someone even want us on to present our side of history and what we contributed to the culture. So I appreciate that.
You guys make sure you check out I Do My Dirt at Night, all right? Check out I Do My Dirt. State your name, state your
Check out
game.
everything. And for everybody else also that's watching, we want y'all to know this is the beginning of a creative point in the new year where there's new dreams and aspirations and new things for you to do and create. Take some time, socialize, get up, network. The most important thing about this music thing of ours is the collective and the people you work with. Keep it solid. These brothers been together for over 30 years of doing music. That's the most solid thing you can look at of how we can sit here 30 years later and talk about the beginning start of their contribution to hip hop. So I'm glad I could be here to bring that to you. Not only
hold on. I got one question.
go ahead,
This is
Mo.
one, and then we can wrap this.
Go ahead,
I
Mo.
wanted to get Mel's insight, but he's not here. As far as 50 years of hip hop, do you think more could have been done?
That sounds like a whole nother show, man. We're not
It
going
does.
to.
There's a lot of that's
We're
a
not
lot.
going to do that right now, man. There's a lot of things. Listen, that sounds like the next episode of Open Discussion, where we hope to have you all here with us and everybody else, and we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that. But right now, you know, I just want everybody to know we appreciate your time for watching us and viewing. We hope you subscribe to the channel, check out more of the podcasts and what's going on with our brothers. You check out the music, show your love and support. Now that you got a little bit of the inside story of where everybody's coming from and their contributions. And we hope not just you listen to the music, but you listen to the beats, the production, and the lyrics. And you also get inspired in your craft. And you also look at some of the things that changed within hip hop. And most important, do your homework. Everybody here out of this story gave you the most important chapter of this. DJ CP Lew The Deuce took his time. He didn't have a mentor. He had to teach himself. That was a lot of hours and time that he dedicated in his craft. DJ Mr. Rip-U, a lot of hours he dedicated his craft. Brother Mel-Z, a lot of hours he dedicated his craft. That's why it was easy to get the work done. Do your homework. There's no shortcuts, and it's a long road to success. Be consistent. We love everybody. Stay safe and stay dangerous. New York City, this is what we do. You already know. Living off the usual. If you don't know, Google. That's up.
Yes.